Hi, I'm Jim Lewis, founder of Model Train Technology, and today we're going to set up these two gate crossings. This is a pretty typical configuration. There are a variety of power supplies that you might have purchased. This is the 12 volt 5 amp supply, and there's a little dongle on the back here for 2 wires. All the systems are powered by 2 wires, and it doesn't matter what polarity. So as long as you got 2 wires in here for each of the devices, you're all set. To make things easy for this video, I'm going to use this solar power, and we're not running it on solar power, but it has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, so basically 5 amp hours, and a run all day. And I'm using my power module simply to be able to easily connect up a bunch of wires. However you do connecting the wires really doesn't matter. So one gate crossing comes like this, and sometimes you might get 2 in the box. They won't have the block attached, so you just go ahead and attach the block. There will also be a rubber band to keep it taut against the pole. Remove the rubber band on each of these, toss it away, and so now you've got the crossing gate. The cross buck is loose, and it may be in a separate package. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that the cross buck is not blocking the gate. That's very important, so that when the gate comes up, the cross buck is not blocking it. There's a little cap. You can super glue that on. Elmer's glue even works. So that's it. All right, so there's a controller. There are only 2 wires that come with these little plugs. There's a sort of wired side, if you can tell, and then there's a smooth side. Just doesn't have anything showing. One is 4 pins, one is 6 pins, and it can only go one way. So super simple 6-pin, push it into the 6-pin side, 4-pin on the 4-pin side, and there we go. Now the first thing that the gates always do when you add power is they go up to the upper vertical position. If the gate's been sitting there a little bit, the stop pin, there's a little screw that pushes against the aluminum pole. It might be slightly off. So when we turn the power on this one, you're going to see one of the lights blip, because when the gate comes up, all the lights are on. And if it's not touching exactly, that will blip for 1 second, and then we know the pin has touched the metal pole. So we're just going to plug in the power here, and I'm going to turn on the power. The lights blink here, and you saw the blip. All right, so the first thing to do, I don't have any sensors connected. All I have is the controller powered up. You can see that it's blinking. The blue LED inside here is blinking every 3 seconds. That's what we call the heartbeat. So let me do this again. I'm going to turn it off. When the controller first comes up, it'll start up, the light will come on and blink, and then these will blink. All right, and so now you can see it's in its heartbeat mode. So that very fast blinking is designed to just let us know that the controller is working. All right, so that's all it is. Now there's a green button on here, not very many functions. The first function is to decide to make the gate go down manually, and we want to test that everything is working out. So push it twice. 1, 2 is fine. 1, 2. And the gate will go down. I have it set for immediate right now, and that's what will happen when you use the manual mode in the controller. When you set it up with a detection, you can have it in one of 3 modes. You can have it immediate, as you saw here. You can have it delay for 5 seconds. So the lights will blink for 5 seconds, and then the gate will go down. And if you think about a real prototype, the lights flashing is to warn cars to get off the tracks. You don't want the gate to come down right away, so there's a slight delay. You can also set it for a 10-second delay, and we'll show you the effect of that, because I only have 2 gates today, but you can imagine if you had 4 gates, the entrance gates you want to go down after 5 seconds, and then the exit gates you want the cars to leave on both sides, and so you want those gates to go down a little bit later, and you can simulate that very easily. All right, so the gate is down, this is always lit, these blinking, and the flasher is blinking, and I'm going to push it twice, and it's going to go back up. All right, so I've tested that. I'm going to disconnect this, and I'm going to come over here to my second crossing gate, and I'm going to plug it in just the same way. It's going to flash, and you're going to see it blip, and the red light went on for a split second, so we know that the pin touched. I'm going to push twice, and the gate will go down, and it will just, now the motor stopped, and it's just going to sit there forever until we push again. And the motor and the lights go up, okay? So you'll notice that the gates are facing each in opposite directions. If I turn this around, you now know why we allow you to change the crossbuck, because you want the crossbuck facing which way the traffic is going. So you can reverse it around. Right now for this demo, they're facing the same way, so you can see what's going on. Okay, so I have both my controllers set up. I know they're working, so that's the very first step. All right, I'm going to unplug this one again. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to show you an adjustment that you really don't ever have to use. It's a very, very fine tuning, but I want you to know that it's in there. We're going to go in manual mode, and we're going to have the gate go down. And there's a little screwdriver for screwing to terminals, but there's also a trim pot in here. You don't have to touch it. Now, you can still see that the heartbeat is blinking. There's a trim pot in there that is set to 0 at the top. If I turn it this way, the gate will move slightly up, and if I turn it the other way, the gate will move slightly down. So I'll demonstrate that. While it's in that mode, let me just get the pin in there. The light on the controller will blink very rapidly. You can see that right now. Now it's in all the way the down position, so nothing's happening. So now I'm turning it the other way. You can see, now I turned it back to the center. I'm going to turn it to the right slightly, back and forth, to adjust the height of the gate. I want to make sure before I go anywhere that this is not flashing. I want to make sure that it's centered because it won't work. It won't continue to work otherwise. All right, press it twice, and the gate will go back up, and it will remember that lowered setting automatically. You don't have to do anything. So pretty much, I'm just showing you that, but just leave it alone until you get everything working and you're comfortable with it, but just wanted to let you know that that's there. Okay, so I'm going to connect all of these, turn the power off. I'll put the power supply over here, and we're going to bring up the sensor. So the sensor has 2 power wires. They're red, and so all I'm going to do is connect them also to my power module. And the power module is unique in that there's a whole bank of pins here for connecting the wires. As long as you have any 2 adjacent terminals, it'll work. We have built this so you don't have to figure out polarity, plus and minus. We've already taken that into account. It's smart, it figures it out, and that's it. All right, so now the detect wire is not connected, and when I tested the system a minute ago with manual mode, I did not have the detect wire on. Okay, so just leave it until you're ready to go. All right, so I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to turn the power on. So the only thing that's going to go on is the sensor. And you can see the green light flashed 4 times, and now it's still on because I'm blocking the sensor. Let me see if I can get out of the way. It should go off. Okay, it's green. That tells you that it's a Precision Detector MAX, that the range is about 20 inches. I've set this, let's see, so you can't really see the light, but right about there is when it turns on, okay? So by adjusting the pin in the back here, the left side, I can reduce the distance. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way so you can see the light coming on and off. All right, I've set this in immediate mode for the time being. The right time, so the right pot, if you will, the right hand side dial is for the right time, and just turn that all the way to the left. So that's 0 timeout. That means as soon as I take my hand away, the detection will go off. All right, and we're going to just put this. Let's just put this here for the time being. Okay. So I know I'm going to test it. You can't see that, but on, off, no connection going on right about there, okay? So if you put this right next to the track, just like that, it'll work, okay? All right, I'm going to turn the power off. I'm going to connect up both of my gates, and now I'm going to connect this wire let's see, how should we do it? We're going to do 2. So we want both gates to go down. On the gate controller, in this position, the bottom green terminal is detect. That's the only one you need to mess with. The other 2, one is called for latching, which we don't have in G-Scale, and the other one is a common for different kinds of testing. But for the time being, all you want to do is put these 2 wires into the detect. So we're putting one from the detector itself in, and then we're going to run the second wire to the detect on the other controller. So I'm just going to see if I can get these in here and screw that down. Now, if you connect the detect wires without power to the detector, the detect line will think that it's live, and so the gate crossings can be confusing. They won't know whether the detector is on or not. Whoops, I must have dropped the wire. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, so let's try that again. Let's just get the second wire in there. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to just run it over to the same detect on this side. And screw that down. Okay, so what's going to happen is the detector will go into its test mode, which is the flashing that you saw a minute ago, and the gates will go into their setup mode. And just turn the power on, and there you go. Okay, so everything is ready to go. And if I put my hand, I'm going to actually push these gates out a little bit and pull this back so I don't block my hand. So there the gates are going down together. This is in the immediate mode, and I'm going to take my hand away, and they're going to go back up. All right? So now what I want to do is put this into, let's put this one into 5-second delay mode. It's very easy. You press this green button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the controller will flash. It says, yep, got it. Okay? So now I'm going to detect or trip the detector, and this one goes down immediately. Now, if for those of you who have a bell, you might want to have, the bell would go off immediately with this one because that's when the circuit trips. You saw that delayed 5 seconds. I take my hand away, and immediately they both go up. All right. If you do have a sound module, what I would do is put one of them in 5-second mode and the other one in 10-second mode. How do you do 10-second mode? Press it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Controller flash, letting me know that. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to have this one go down after 5 seconds. All right, so there, whoops. I must have only hit 5 buttons on this side. Let's try it again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. All right, so 5 seconds delay, 10-second delay. And if you have the bell going, connected up, triggered, then it would be going the whole time and continue to go. As soon as I take my hand away, it releases the triggering, and they both go up, all right, which is prototypical. Okay, so now the next thing I want to show you is this same setup, but rather than, if I have those 2 detectors, I might have east-west traffic. I might want to let I could connect up to 2 detectors so I could get the train from either way. Also, if the train passes through the crossing, the detector on the outbound side will still detect, so the caboose, let's say, or the last car would still be triggering the crossing as it leaves the area. But there's another way to simulate that. Remember, we set this to right time, and what I'm going to do is turn the knob a little bit clockwise. And so what will happen is the trigger, all right, that's triggered now. Okay, now if I take my hand away, maybe make sure I get out of the way. Oh, let me do it this time. Let's do it once more. Okay, so they're both going to go down. Okay, now when I take my hand away, it's not immediate. Well, it's pretty close. Let's add a little bit more time. That was too close. Let's do, all right. Okay, the signal is still tripped. I take my hand away, the light's still green, so that it detect is holding it's what's called the timeout. So it will hold it for up to 30 seconds and then release. And you can adjust that as you want. Okay, so that's the basic setup. And one thing I want to let you know, as soon as the system is tripped, the controllers say, okay, I'm going to start my sequence. And at that point, even if you take your hand away, there's no way to stop it. So it'll just go through its full sequence and time out and then come back up. So if I just do this and step away now, the timeout will time out, okay? But the gates will still go through their action. Now in this case, the timeout was so quick that the other gate's gonna go up and this one's gonna go back up right away as well. All right, so just to let you know that that's a kind of, oh, wait a second, what happened? What's going on? Well, it tripped the trigger and it's going to do the timeout, but the timeout is short enough that the gate will just bounce back up because it thinks the timeout has been cleared. Okay, so don't get confused with that. But all right, so that's this basic setup. You know about our famous mounting magnets. They really work great, you know, unless you're in a U-Haul van bouncing around or something. They work terrific. And then, of course, you know that it comes with the case. All right, so if you have any questions, you can email me or call me, but that's the G-scale gate crossing setup with two gates.